The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Getting to Know You. My name is Joe Nash. April is Autism Awareness Month. We have someone with us who knows about autism both personally as a parent for over 20 years and professionally because he works at the Center for Disability Services. Rich Vassi, welcome back.
Good morning, Joe. Good
Thanks for being here again.
Nice to see you.
I wanted to ask you, for Autism Month here, how would you define autism? I know you're not a doctor.
Isn't that a wonderful question?
Because I have the definition here, I printed it out, but anyone can look that up.
Yeah.
And you've been dealing with it both, as I said, professionally and personally for over 20 years. How would you define that?
I think the diagnosis has expanded over the years. We may have called it something different for decades, perhaps, and through the specific behaviors that are exhibited, maybe we've fine-tuned it to autism, but maybe years ago it might have just been called mental retardation. Maybe.
Okay.
These are my thoughts. And then in the past 25 years or so, we've certainly seen an increase in the diagnosis of autism. And it seems like now, you have your statistics where 1 out of every 20, 30, so on people are on the spectrum. So how would I describe it? With our son, on a personal level, you get all types of recommendations or suspicions, perhaps. A neurological disorder, clearly. Auditory, perhaps. Perhaps there's something wrong with the hearing and processing what you're hearing. That was a theory for a while. Dietary, massive infections, massive allergies, perhaps causing this disorder. So the answer is, how would I describe it or diagnosis? I don't know. I know it when I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
How it got there, what exactly is going wrong, I don't know.
But we do know more today than, say, 20, 25 years ago. Your son is now 30, you're telling me?
We'll be 30 in December.
Okay, 30.
He's got a lot of nerve.
Okay.
Imagine?
How would you say, like 20 or 30 years ago,
Sure.
You and your wife, what did you know then? And new parents today seem to know a lot more. I mean, what was it like 30 years ago?
You learn quick.
I know.
You catch on pretty quick in terms of grasping what you're dealing with, the condition you're dealing with, in this case, of course, autism. And a lot of it comes to early intervention. I remember pediatric neurologist appointments and the various tests that, you take for granted.
You're talking under 1 year old, right? The first?
2.
Okay.
0 to 2. So
Okay.
he was 2 years old when we started, becoming suspicious. And so we had the doctor's appointment and basic stuff. A thing of Cheerios in a Tupperware, and you shake it, it's a rattle. And little babies and little kids had great interest in that. Oh, let's go have it. He showed no interest. And that was a telltale sign. The lack of interest in things that they should be interested in as children. The lack of eye contact. And then once you start to get suspicious, boy, more and more, you notice that these are typical characteristics of autism, and you want to do something quick.
Now, was there as much information and services available 30 years ago as now?
I'd say no, and you had to do a lot on your own.
Okay.
And you get a lot of people that are experts at the time who have had personal dealings. They have a newsletter. They have nutritional supplements, and I'm not poo-pooing any of that, because you take a shot, because nobody knew anything. You didn't know what treatments were going to be most effective. So you did a lot of supplements. You did a lot of. I was big on the gross motor development, because I could see, being a phys ed teacher, I could see he was lacking in so many areas. Those large muscle groups were not coordinated. The crawling and the creeping actions. You have your large muscle groups, your arms, your legs, these big muscles that do this.
Yeah.
An opposite motion that's your crawling. That takes a lot. It takes a lot of muscle movement. It takes a lot of cognitive movement, cognitive development and processing to do that. And that wasn't happening. So I built a balance beam in my basement. I built a balance beam, a piece of wood.
I know. For a 2-year-old?
Exactly. And we had a little stationary bike that I got him. And so we worked on those types of things, and it was difficult.
So would you say you had to do more 20, 30 years ago than maybe a parent now can right away get services or find more information, or were you sort of on your own?
I think both things are true. The parent would have to do more. That doesn't lessen.
Yeah.
But in terms of supports, I think they're more and more available for sure, especially in the early intervention, as it's called, the early intervention process of catching it early. And that's big, as you would assume, because the sooner you diagnose and recognize and start to treat the problem, the more success you're going to have.
So what do you think, what's changed the most over these 30 years? So you've seen it all since the beginning, from not as much information out there and maybe less services to today. What's changed the most, do you think, and what has not changed?
I think what's changed the most is that everyone knows someone who's affected by it. Whether it's Ernie Els and his kid, Doug Flutie, Dan Marino, they've all, they're all dealing with it. So notoriety, everybody knows somebody. So in that respect, it gets more attention, gets more funding. People are more interested in fixing the problem. Heaven forbid it happens to me. So and if it does, you want to be prepared. And so in that respect, I think we as a society have certainly taken it much more seriously. Because I think there's the idea that there is progress. So because you see progress in people, and I see it all the time. I see it all the time. I couldn't be more proud of my son and the progress he's making and has made. And I couldn't be more proud of this little boy that I have with a swim. We do swim lessons with him
at the center.
Yeah, at the center, and it's a therapeutic pool, 98 degrees. So the kids do not hesitate about getting in the water. But our approach, me and this little boy's approach to our swim lessons, it's not just swimming. It is following directions. It is transitioning. It is some motor development as well with the lesson itself. And it's expectations. You talk about what things are different now perhaps than they were years ago. The level of expectation. You have to have it. And you have to portray it. You have to know the kid that I'm serving has to know that I certainly expect you to complete this task. And there's just something in it that you form these connections.
Now you talk about cognitive and motor skills. So autism affects almost your whole being. Is that safe to say, or? I
think it does. In terms of your balance, your coordination, your ability to respond, that whole idea of stimulus and response. I throw a ball at you, you're naturally going to respond. Your hands are going to come up. You're going to make eye contact with the object. That takes some practice.
Okay. So what kind of services, or what kind of? I know the center deals with over 300 different disabilities. What kind of services, or what do you deal with people with autism at the Center for Disability Services? You work mainly in the pool?
We work mainly in the pool, so I see everybody. I see our residential programs, I see our adult day programs, I see our school programs, our outpatient therapy programs. I see everybody.
Well, I should tell people, listening, in case they don't know, the Center for Disability Services has over 80 locations in 9 counties, but they serve people from 37 counties and over 20 states. You have a staff of 2,400 people and over $100 million budget. So you guys are a big operation.
Yes, we are.
And you have you served over 15,000 people with a wide range of disabilities.
Right.
So I'm sorry, go back to what you're saying in the pool with people with...
Well, in terms of all the people in the agency and beyond, because we certainly are open to the community as well. So if you're interested in using the therapeutic pool and you just want to use it for some aches and pains, we're open for business.
And I'm getting to the age where I might be...
Come on in, 98 degrees. I'll get you a nice towel. No, but we, of course, the physical disabilities, we address those with so many of our consumers that we serve. But in terms of our autistic population, it's interesting because you have to have the right environment. And in our case, our pool, it echoes. So that's going to create quite a an auditory distraction because the sound is just bouncing off of walls, and so you have to, okay, let's take that into account. So small classes, one-on-one procedures for the kids, whatever we're doing. And of course we have their goals, their physical education goals that we follow. And we have to maintain that progress on those progress reports and those goals and the individual education plan, which is all part of their educational program. But again, it's all a matter of gross motor skills. Consistency is so important. Because, I talked about expectations. Well, in order to achieve, my expectations of you, I better be consistent. And so we are. And it's consistency, motor skill development, following directions, and, reinforcement and encouragement to, when a job well done should be rewarded. A lot of these kids, they don't dig the outwardly reward. It's too intrusive. If so, you better come up with something else.
Oh, okay. And how is your son? You said he has his own place now. He moved out of your house like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
How did that transition work?
It worked pretty well. He's in one of our residential programs.
All right, so the center has places for
Yes, yes, we have over 50 residential programs throughout the Capital District and beyond. And he moved out probably about 5 years ago. And he's doing exceptionally well. It's and so many things, you notice. And this is the encouraging part about autism. To a certain level, I think you outgrow it. Not completely, but I think
as you get older,
as you mature, as you move on to your day-to-day routines in life, and start to function in society as somebody who's truly participating and contributing. I think you do, at some level, begin to outgrow this thing.
Okay.
And I think you develop this sense of awareness as to your place in society and what's expected of you. And there's just something about it. I see more clarity in terms of our eye contact and our interactions. I see certainly much quicker responses to requests. Bring a dish to the sink, do this, do that, Got to get the one down where I stop driving me crazy. Once we get that one down, we're going to be golden.
Well, you were telling me before we started about someone you're working with in the pool.
Yes.
Tell us, it's like an individual story. Tell us how you do that.
Well, he's 4 years old and preschool, so this would fit into the early intervention category, certainly. His parents moved here from out of town, and they heard about our facilities, and we started 18 months ago. And 18 months ago was no walk in the park for this little one. And therefore it wasn't a walk in the park for me either. However, we got it started from the beginning. Instead of just walking into the pool, you have to ask, are you ready to go swimming? We have limited language. So I will take anything resembling a yes, whether it's a sign language yes, verbal yes, what have you. I want some eye contact, and I want a response because we're motivated because we want to go swimming. So that's step one. So you get the response to the initial entrance into the pool. Once we're in, you go from shallow end to deep end, and it's a lot of hand over hand in the beginning because as the balance, I talked about, the motor skills, the balance and all that, not really where it should be. So you find yourself doing a lot of this type of motion to get the motor activity going. So that would be the next step. Other steps would be getting underwater and holding your breath. Kind of important. If you're underwater, you got to hold your breath. It's a simple lesson, but one that's learned pretty quickly as well. And then you work on the whole swimming stroke. The kicking. Some kids need kickboards for kicking. He did not. Some kids need, you have to isolate the trunk and get the arms going. He did not.
Okay.
But he does have a sense of humor.
Oh,
he insists on swimming, kicking 2 feet in one arm. And I look at him and said, it's a miracle you're not swimming around in circles. And he's, and so now we got this relationship going, where we get each other, and I think he's funny, and thank goodness he thinks I'm funny.
So you've worked with him for 2 years now?
18 months. Yeah.
Okay, 18 months.
And now, then you learn different things, because, okay, one arm, I got one arm swimming in one arm, and he's making me crazy, and I think he's doing it on purpose. And so I said, okay, we're going to try. And so many things you can preset these guys.
Yeah.
Simple things like 1, 2, 3, let's go, and everybody's ready to get. He's ready to get up and go. But just to say, okay, let's go, for whatever reason, it's not as effective as simply 1, 2, 3. And I did that throughout the lessons. 1, 2, 3, we'll kick. 1, 2, 3, we'll jump in the water. 1, 2, 3, we'll do this. I can't get to 1, 2, 3 to get this other arm going. I went to 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. The hand over hand.
Yeah.
1, 2, 1. Son of a gun. It
So
worked.
now he's doing it.
It worked. I mean, I'm on top of the world.
Oh, well, that's.
And then transitioning out of the pool to a school program. So we want to make this all one big group here, okay? Now you're in the pool, but next is school.
Now, was he in a regular classroom? Or?
I'm not sure. He goes into, I'm pretty sure, well, certainly it's a preschool program because he's 4 years old.
Okay.
But where the parents take him, I don't remember the name of the program.
So helping at the pool helps him at school.
Parents say those are his best days at school, Tuesdays and Thursdays when we have
After he
lessons.
swims.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I feel like $1 million when I hear stuff like that. Absolutely. But I tell him, I say,
Yeah.
listen, you did a good job. Now it's time to go.
Oh, okay.
And that's number one. And I want you to have the best day at school ever. Today, I want you to have the greatest day, you know, so just make that connection, you know, okay.
And you said it every Tuesday and Thursday.
Every Tuesday and Thursday.
Well, one thing I want to ask you, Rich, in case people don't know, you are on the radio on Talk 1300. Over the years, you've talked about your son a lot, and about your job at the center. I get a sense from listening to you all these years that your son really inspires you. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Well, you know, the thing that inspires me is he doesn't quit. And maybe he's not allowed to, but he just doesn't. And any kind of you know what it is? The big thing with autism is it's a lack of affection. I think most people dealing with it would say that. That is certainly a big concern, and indeed a heartbreak when you don't have that affection from your child that you're doling out and you're not receiving it. More and more, that's not the case.
As he
He's
gets
becoming
older.
more and more affectionate
Yeah.
as he gets older, as he got through adolescence, and maybe that's a typical characteristic of every adolescent, right? You're just put on this planet to drive your parents nuts. However, as he's grown older and made such wonderful progress in so many areas, you know, stuff that we certainly do take for granted. Returning a dish to the sink, but you know, there's just something in his awareness level that you can see in his face. His verbal, his speech, generally speaking, is limited at best. However, we are able to communicate. You know, we do have our way of. I know what he's telling me, and he knows what we expect.
Now, that's obviously because you're his father. But when he's out, when you're not there, is there still difficulties, or do you know, or?
I'm sure there probably are. I wouldn't say difficulties as much as discomfort.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps discomfort. We don't get uncomfortable.
Yeah, okay.
We pretty much are very, you know, our outings consist of going shopping, you know, going to the aquarium, things like that. And I am very proud of him. I've seen the progress that he's making, and there's, you know, and I sense that he has this intrinsic value in terms of his accomplishments. He doesn't need so much a pat on the back, but he gets them.
Yeah.
You know, when he earns them, he gets them. But you know, his general hygiene, his general you know, improvement in day program, just his personality, his social skills.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's really the biggest one. When you think of autism, you think such a lack of social skills. Well, his has really starting to bubble up to the surface. He had a dentist appointment, and who loves those, right? Oh my God! Imagine you sit in that chair and they're digging at you with these metal things, and anybody, it's nobody's picnic, right? But we prepare for these things, and this is going on for years. And he got to the stage where I would be in the exam room with him, he'd be in the dentist chair, and I know the hygienists and all that at the center, and they're wonderful people. I just love them. They're fantastic, and they've been able to get my son through a 25-minute session of a cleaning. With minimal problem.
Okay.
He was able to get through a drilling. He had to have a tooth drilled. You know, I was a nervous wreck. We prepared though. We sat down. So you talk about his progress. That's huge for somebody with those sensitivities. You know, to be able to sit down and have that done and get through it. You know, tremendous dental unit that we have at the center, and all the credit goes to my son.
Very good.
Sitting through it. And his latest one was last week. I said to them, I said, listen, I'm not going to be in the room. You know, I'll be outside in the hallway. It's all him this time. He sat there for 27 minutes, went through the whole process, and even found the closing joke by the dental hygienist amusing. I said, kill me now, I'm a happy man. So I hope that answers your question about his progress.
Yes,
It's been quite significant.
So I guess we're almost done here. What if you could just say one or two things about autism, just in general? What's progress has made over the last 20, 30 years? What goes on at the center with local groups, that support groups? Is there a couple things you could really say to really get people more aware?
I'm thinking society as a whole has become more accepting of it, of the condition. Yeah, kids can be cruel, let's face it. But I think by and large, and more, I think that the cruelty is lessening. I'm hoping that that's the case. I see kids participating more. I see the diagnosis of autism, Asperger's being more accepted throughout the community. I see people with these diagnoses having more opportunities to participate, whether it's internships, various job programs, educational opportunities, and things like that. And with the idea being that they go from the whole idea of PL 194, I think, is the school law on the education law and developmental disabilities, with the thought being the least restrictive environment. And I think that's what's happening. I really do. I think they start off, in the least restrictive environment, which may be pretty intense, a self-contained classroom and all that, a lot of these kids. But they eventually evolve, progress into lesser and lesser restricted environments. And I think that's big, especially at the early intervention level throughout the high school and adolescent years. So in terms of what I've seen, in terms of progress, I think that's big. And as I mentioned before, so many celebrities have spoken in support of it. And
do you see parents more involved than, say, 30 years ago with
I think that's so
or does it
individualized.
depend on the situation?
Yeah, I think that's so individualized. Of course, in my job, I do see involved parents. How many are there?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard, and I'm certainly not being judgmental at all about it, but it's hard for parents to deal with this. I don't have to imagine. I know. And if you don't have the right supports, if you don't have the right chemistry, it can be really hard. If you have the right stuff, though, if you have the right combination, and some opportunities, the sky's the limit. And I firmly believe that.
Well, it sounds like, again, from listening to you on the radio over the years, you do talk about it a lot. It sounds like you were very involved. Too involved, I think, maybe.
I think he might agree.
So do you know of Autism Awareness Month in the Capital District? Or are there any events going on, or is it just you're just doing things like this to get people more aware?
We're doing this certainly to get people more aware, but you'll see the various seminars, various workshops that are being offered. The Autism Society in Schenectady, I'm sure, will have some things going on as well.
Okay. Well, now have I forgotten anything, Rich? I think we're almost at the end here. Was it?
Let's see. What could you have possibly forgotten? Let's see. Well, the thing is, prepare now. If you're facing this diagnosis, which I'm sure would be a shock to any new parent, prepare now. Get your bearings set, get your balance, have expectations of your children at a very young age. Be encouraging. Don't hold back. Don't hold back your enthusiasm, because we all need it. And it's.
And I guess you could say, judging from what you've said, it's good. They'd have to prepare for the long haul. Is that possible?
Absolutely. And I told I mentioned the one 4-year-old who I have swim lessons with, and the parents obviously were concerned. And I've had quite a bit of experience before I met this little one, and I said, listen, you really don't have to worry. He's going to be fine. And I tell him, I said, I've already been where you're going, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of people out here that really want to help, and all you got to do is, figure out the right plan and the right approach, and it's just going to be fine.
Well, that sounds like a good. That sounds like everyone should come and see you with it.
They should. They absolutely should.
Well, thank you very much for coming, Rich, and for making us more aware of autism. And again, April is Autism Awareness Month, and we'll have you back again sometime.
Thank you, Joe. Nice seeing you.
And we'll see you next time on Getting to Know You.